The less you respond to negativity, the more peaceful your life becomes. Have you ever noticed that the moment you stop caring, they start acting differently? At first, they didn't care. They ignored you, barely noticed your efforts, and treated you like an afterthought. But the second you pulled back, something flipped. Now suddenly they're watching your every move, checking up on you, wondering why you're not reacting and why you're not playing their game anymore. It's almost funny, isn't it? When you were giving them your time, your attention, and your energy, they acted like you were nothing. But the second you take all of that away, now you're everything. Now they're the ones thinking about you. Welcome to the power of indifference. If you're ready to take that power back, hit that like button and subscribe, because today we're going deep into the psychology behind it. Once you understand this, you'll never be the same again. Imagine this: you walk into a store, and right in front of you is a pile of free stuff. Anyone can take as much as they want, no price tag, no effort required. What happens? People grab a few things, maybe, but they don't really value it. They don't even think twice about it. Now imagine a different scenario. A rare limited edition item locked in a glass case with only 5 available. Suddenly, people are lining up, fighting for it, willing to pay any price. That's human nature. People don't value what's always available. And guess what? The same applies to you. You were the free item before. Always there, always giving, always available. They got used to it. They didn't even think about it. But the moment you pulled back, the moment you stopped handing them unlimited access to you, everything changed. Suddenly, you became that rare limited edition item, and now they can't handle it. You might be thinking, but if they really cared, wouldn't they have valued me from the start? That's where you've been misled, my friends. You've been taught your whole life that love is about effort, that if you just try harder, give more, or prove yourself, they'll appreciate you. But let's be real. Has that ever worked? No, because people don't respect what they don't have to earn. Let me drop a hard truth. The more you chase, the less they care. The more you give, the less they appreciate. The more you prove yourself, the more they take you for granted. And here's where the real mind shift happens. You don't win by convincing them to see your worth. You win by realizing that their validation was never the prize in the first place. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this and you will find strength. That's exactly what happens when you stop caring. You take back control, not just over them, but over yourself. You stop waiting for their attention. You stop obsessing over their reactions. You stop looking for their approval like it's oxygen. Because here's the real power move. When you stop caring, you free yourself. And when you free yourself, that's when they start feeling trapped. Trapped in their own insecurity, trapped in their own thoughts, and trapped in the absence of you. Oh, and let me tell you, they hate that. They hate not knowing what's going on in your head. They hate that you're no longer easy to read. They hate that their usual tricks don't work on you anymore. That's why they come back. That's why they start checking in. That's why they suddenly act like they care. But let's be honest. Do they really care? Or do they just miss the control they once had over you? Think about it. When you were chasing them, when you were giving them everything, were they running towards you or running away? The moment you stopped is when they started paying attention. So let me ask you this, who really had the power all along? This is the moment you reclaim your energy. This is the moment you stop letting their opinion define your worth. This is the moment you realize that you were never the one who needed them. They needed you. And now you're untouchable. Now you move on your terms. Now you don't chase, you attract. Say it with me. I am the prize. I don't chase, I attract. Write it in the comments below and let it sink in. Remember, my friends, hit that like button, subscribe, and stay with me because we're just getting started. The best part? It only gets better from here. Number 1, the power shift. Why they can't handle your indifference. We suffer more in imagination than in reality. Have you ever noticed how people panic when they start losing control over you? It's almost hilarious. When you were always available, always responding, always caring, they barely noticed. But the second you step back, the second you stop reacting, suddenly they're restless, anxious, and confused. They don't know what to do. They don't know how to handle it. Why? Because the power has shifted and they can feel it. Imagine this, my friends. Imagine a fire burning bright, fueled by oxygen. Every flicker, every spark, every flame, it's all because that oxygen keeps feeding it. Now, what happens when you cut off that oxygen? The fire starts suffocating, it weakens, flickers, and eventually dies. That's exactly what's happening right now. You were the oxygen. You kept their ego alive. You fueled their confidence, their self-worth, their feeling of control. But now you've taken that away. And just like that fire, they're gasping for air, struggling to stay lit. At first, they don't realize it. Might do. They think you're just busy, distracted, or playing hard to get. But as time passes, as the silence grows, it starts to hit them. Their grip on you is slipping, and that's when the panic sets in. You might be thinking, but if they really cared, wouldn't they have noticed me before? Here's where the real lie has been drilled into your mind. You've been told that love, attention, and respect are given freely, that people will appreciate you just because you're kind, just because you're available, just because you show up. But let's get real. Human nature doesn't work like that. People don't value what's handed to them on a silver platter. They value what they have to work for. They value what they're afraid to lose. For so long, you gave without them ever feeling that fear. And let's be honest, this shift isn't easy for you either, is it? Because right now, there's that voice in the back of your head saying, what if they never come back? What if they move on? What if they don't care at all? That fear is real, my friends. And that fear, that's exactly why most people never make it to the other side. They get stuck in the cycle, chasing, overgiving, waiting, hoping, convincing themselves that if they just try a little harder, if they just give a little more, maybe this time it'll be different. But it never is it? Let me hit you with the truth. If someone truly valued you, they would have never put you in a position where you had to prove your worth in the first place. You were their emotional safety net, their ego boost, their backup plan, their comfort zone. And now, you're gone. That's why they can't handle it. That's why they're spiraling. Not because they suddenly realized how much they love you, but because they lost their control over you. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." And that right there is the key. The moment you stop reacting, the moment you stop feeding their fire, the moment you take your power back, that's when everything changes. But don't get me wrong. This won't be easy at first. You'll feel the urge to reach out. You'll wonder if they miss you. You'll feel the temptation to check their social media, to send a message to see if they've even noticed your absence. Because deep down, you still want that validation. You still want to believe that your worth is tied to their response. But let me tell you something. Real power isn't in chasing. It's in being okay with the unknown. You don't need to know what they're thinking. You don't need to hear from them. You don't need their recognition to prove that you made the right choice. Because let's be clear, your value is not defined by their reaction. Here's what's going to happen next. At first, they'll act like they don't care, like your silence doesn't bother them, like they're just going about their life as if nothing changed. But give it time. The silence grows. The space between you gets wider, and then the shift happens. They start wondering, wait, why aren't they texting? They check their phone a little more. Did I miss a message? They start watching your stories, lurking on your page, bringing you up in conversation. And then they reach out. But don't let that fool you. Don't mistake their panic for love. They don't miss you. They miss the control. They miss knowing you were always there. They miss knowing you would always answer. They miss knowing they had the upper hand. And now they don't. Now you're the mystery, the one they can't quite figure out. And let me tell you, that drives them insane. But here's the final, most important truth. By the time they realize what they lost, you won't even want them anymore. Because something happens when you step into your power. You wake up. You see things for what they really are. You realize that the person you were chasing was never worthy of you in the first place. And that's when you become untouchable. So say this with me right now. I am no one's option. I am the prize. Write it in the comments below. Let it sink in. Show them, show yourself, show the world around you. And trust me, my friends, we're just getting started. Because next we're diving even deeper. And if you think this was eye-opening, just wait until you see what's coming. Stay with me. Hit that like button, subscribe, and get ready because this is only the beginning. Hi. Number 2, the scarcity effect. Your attention was always the prize. The price of anything is the amount of life you exchange for it. Let's get real, folks. Have you ever noticed how people don't care when something is always available? It's just there, background noise, nothing special. But the second it's gone, suddenly it's the only thing they can think about. That's not just a coincidence. That's human nature. Imagine this. There's a store in your city selling a rare limited edition sneaker. Only 10 pairs exist. The hype is real. People are lining up, fighting to get a pair, paying triple the price just to own them. Why? Because it's scarce. Because not everyone can have it. Now imagine the same sneaker, but this time it's sitting in every department store. Hundreds of pairs available, no waiting list, no exclusivity. Suddenly nobody cares. The sneaker didn't change. The way people perceived it did. And guess what? The same thing happens with you. When you're always available, always responding, always giving, you become the common item on the shelf. They assume you'll always be there, ready and waiting. They don't have to work for you. They don't have to value you. You're just there. But the moment you step back, the moment your attention disappears, everything changes. Because here's the truth, my friends. Your attention was always the prize, but you gave it away like it was free. Now let's be honest. At first they won't notice. They'll assume you'll come back just like always. Jesus, flood. They'll assume you'll be the one to reach out. But as time passes, as they realize you're not there, that's when the panic sets in. Wait, why aren't they texting? Did I do something wrong? Are they talking to someone else? They start to feel what they never expected. Your absence. And suddenly, what they once took for granted becomes the one thing they crave. This is the scarcity effect. The less available something is, the more valuable it becomes. Think about it. Why do luxury brands never go on sale? Why do exclusive VIP clubs have waiting lists? Because scarcity creates demand. If something is too easy to get, people assume it's not worth much. That's the shift you need to make. Because right now you're making yourself too easy. You're always responding, always saying yes, always showing up, always making sure they feel good, even when they barely do the same for you. And that stops today. Here's the power move. From now on, your availability is earned. You don't reply right away. You don't drop everything for them. You don't give unlimited access to your energy. Why? Because your time is valuable, and if they want it, they have to prove they're worth it. At first, they won't get it. They'll think you're just busy or playing games. But as the pattern continues, as they see that you're not reacting like you used to, they'll start to feel the shift. Then they'll start chasing. They'll start putting in the effort. They'll start reaching out, wondering how they went from being the one in control to being the one hoping for your attention. Because now you're the limited edition. You're the rare item. You're not the free refill anymore. You're the exclusive bottle that not everyone can have. And that changes everything. But let's be honest, this won't be easy for you at first. You're used to giving. You're used to making sure they feel good. You're used to proving your worth, to making yourself available. And now you have to hold back. And let me tell you, your brain is going to fight you on this. You'll feel the urge to check in. You'll feel the fear creeping in. What if they lose interest? What if they think I don't care? What if they just move on? That's the test. That's the moment where most people break. Because scarcity only works if you stick to it. If you crack under pressure, if you go back to chasing, overgiving, proving yourself, you lose. You become that common item on the shelf again, and they go right back to taking you for granted. But if you hold the line, if you stay in your power, if you resist the urge to make yourself too easy, they will feel it. And when they do, they will realize they were never the prize. You were. So say this with me: I am not easily available. I am rare. I am the prize. Write it in the comments below. Let it sink in. Show them, show yourself, show the world. And my friends, we're just getting started. If you think this was powerful, wait until you see what's coming next. Stay with me, hit that like button, subscribe, and get ready, because the next move is the real game changer. Number 3, their ego is under attack, losing their power over you. He who angers you conquers you. Have you ever noticed how the second you stop caring, the second you pull back, they suddenly start acting differently? They start checking in, sending those "Hey, how have you been?" messages out of nowhere. They hit you with a sudden burst of interest, trying to pull you back in. But let's be real. This isn't about love. This is about control. See, when you were chasing them, when you were pouring in effort, when you were giving them all your attention, they had power. They controlled the dynamic. They knew exactly how much you cared. They knew you'd always be there. They knew that no matter how little effort they put in, you'd still show up. But now, you're not reacting. You've pulled away. Now they don't know what's going on in your head, and that drives them insane. Because here's the truth, my friends. It was never about how much they loved you. It was about how much control they had over you. And now that control is slipping. That's why they start testing you. It's their ego fighting back. Maybe it starts small. A random check-in, a casual "hope you're doing well" message that seems innocent. But you know better. They don't care about your well-being. They care about whether you'll respond. If that doesn't work, they up the game. Guilt trips, bringing up old memories, making you feel like they miss you when in reality, they just miss the version of you that they had control over. And if that still doesn't work, they get desperate. Suddenly, they start treating you better. They act like they care. They offer just enough breadcrumbs to make you question everything. Maybe they've changed. Maybe they finally realize what they lost. No, my friend, they realize what they lost control of. And that's why you need to stay strong, because here's where most people break. Most people fall for the test. They get that check-in text and they respond immediately. They hear the guilt trip and they explain themselves. They see the sudden interest and they believe it. And just like that, boom, the power shifts back to them. and you're right back where they wanted you. But not you. Not this time. Because you know better now. You know that real power is in your silence. You know that real strength is in your self-control. You know that they only care because they lost control over you. And that's why you're going to remain untouchable. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." That's what this is about. Mastering your own reactions, refusing to be manipulated, refusing to be controlled. So how do you do that? 1. Stop reacting. They text. Let it sit. Don't respond out of impulse. Don't rush to prove anything. Let them wander. Let them sit in their own uncertainty. 2. Don't justify yourself. They guilt trip you, hit you with a classic, "I just don't understand why you're acting like this." You don't owe them an explanation. Silence is your answer. 3. Recognize the pattern. They've done this before, maybe not in the same way, but you've seen the cycle. Pull away, ignore, treat you like nothing until they realize they might lose you. Then suddenly, they care. See it for what it is. 4. Own your power. You're not the one who needs them. They need you. That's why they're reaching out. That's why they're checking in. That's why they're testing you. Because their ego is taking a hit. And the best part, it's only going to get worse for them. Because when you stop reacting, when you stop giving them power, when you stop falling for their tricks, they panic even more. They will try harder. They will become more desperate. They will start thinking about you non-stop. And by the time they finally realize that you're no longer the person they once controlled, it's too late. Because now you don't even care anymore. So say this with me: I control my emotions. I am untouchable. Write it in the comments below. Let it sink in. Show them, show yourself, show the world. And my friends, we're only getting started. Because next we're talking about the one thing they fear the most: your silence. Stay with me. Hit that like button, subscribe, because the real power move is coming next. Number 4. Silence speaks louder than words. Why they hate the unknown. Silence is a source of great strength. Have you ever noticed how silence makes people uncomfortable? When someone doesn't respond the way they expect, their mind starts racing. They start filling in the blanks. They start obsessing over what you might be thinking, where you might be, and who you might be with. See, when you are always available, always responding, always explaining yourself, they never had to wonder. You made it easy. They could predict your every move. But now you're quiet. Now you've stopped feeding their ego. Now suddenly they don't know where they stand, and that makes them panic. Because here's the truth: people don't fear rejection. They fear the unknown. Rejection is clear. It's an answer. It's closure. But silence is a question mark they can't figure out. It leaves them stuck in their own head, overthinking, doubting, spiraling. Imagine this. You text someone and they don't reply. At first you brush it off. Maybe they're busy. But hours go by, then a day, then 2. Now it's bothering you. You start checking your phone more, wondering if they've seen it. Did you say something wrong? Are they ignoring you? Are they mad? Your brain starts playing tricks on you. You start coming up with scenarios, searching for answers that don't exist. And before you know it, you're thinking about them non-stop. That's exactly what's happening to them right now. Because for so long, you were predictable. They could ignore your messages for hours, and you'd still be there. They could pull away and you'd chase. They could treat you however they wanted, and you would always explain, always prove, always try to fix things. But now you've gone silent, and that silence is louder than anything you could ever say. They check their phone, expecting to see your name. Nothing. They scroll through social media, looking for signs that you're still thinking about them. Nothing. They ask around trying to figure out what's going on. Nothing. And the less they know, the more they obsess. Because here's what they never expected. They thought they had you figured out. They thought they could string you along forever. They thought they could pull away, knowing you'd always come running back. But now, you've rewritten the rules. Now you've flipped the script. And let me tell you, my friends, this is when the real power shift happens. Because silence isn't just ignoring someone. It's discipline. It's self-control. It's refusing to hand over your energy for free. It's the principle of detachment. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. That means you don't need to react. You don't need to explain. You don't need to prove anything. You simply exist in your own power. And let me tell you, nothing is more powerful than a person who doesn't seek validation. That's why they hate your silence. It's not just about missing your messages. It's about missing the control they once had over your emotions. Fair. It's about realizing that the person they thought would always be there is now untouchable. And here's where it gets even better. At first, they'll try to play it cool, pretend they don't care, act like it doesn't bother them. But the longer the silence stretches, the more desperate they become. They start sending random messages. "Hey, hope you're doing good." They try to bring you up with old memories. "Remember that time They look for ways to provoke a reaction. "I just think it's crazy how you're acting now." But here's where most people fail. They see that message and they break. They reply, they explain, they give in. And just like that, game over. The power shifts back. But not you, because you know better now. You know that your silence is your greatest weapon. You know that the less you reveal, the more they wonder. And here's the real test. Can you handle the discomfort of not knowing what's going on in their head? Can you sit with the silence and let them come to you? Because that's when the real shift happens. That's when they start losing their mind. That's when they start regretting ever taking you for granted. That's when they start chasing. And by the time they finally break and come running back, you've already moved on. So say this with me. My silence is my power. I don't chase, I attract. Write it in the comments below. Let it sink in. Show them, show yourself, show the world. And my friends, trust me, this is only the beginning. Because next, we're talking about the one thing that makes them spiral even more, jealousy. Stay with me. Hit that like button, subscribe, because what's coming next? That's when they really start losing control. On number 5, the fear of replacement, they start wondering who has your attention. Chasing security pushes it away. Ignoring fear brings control. Funny how they never cared when you were all in, when you were giving them your time, your energy, your loyalty. They barely noticed. You were an option, not a priority. They assumed you'd always be there, waiting, hoping, proving yourself right. But the moment you stop, the moment you go quiet, the moment you take your attention elsewhere, suddenly they're losing their minds. Because here's the truth, my friends. It's not just about losing you. It's about the fear that someone else is getting what they once took for granted. And let me tell you that fear eats them alive. See, they were comfortable before. They had the upper hand. They knew you were invested. They knew you'd respond, that you'd check in, that you'd show up when they wanted you to. They had no reason to worry. But now, you're a mystery. Now they don't know what you're doing, who you're with, or if you even think about them at all. And that drives them insane. Imagine this. You've got a toy you never play with. It's been sitting in the corner for months, collecting dust. You barely even notice it. But then someone else walks in, picks it up, and suddenly you care. You want it back, not because you actually love it, but because someone else does. That's exactly what's happening to them right now. They start stalking your social media, looking for clues. They start sending those just checking in texts, hoping to pull you back in. They start fishing for information, trying to figure out if you're moving on. Because the thought of you being happy without them, the thought of you giving your attention to someone else, the thought of you realizing you never needed them, that terrifies them, because now the game has changed. Now they're not just worried about you pulling away, now they're wondering, who replaced me? And that's where the real psychological warfare begins. See, when you were chasing them, when you were trying to prove your worth, they never had to fight for you. You were already theirs. But the second you take your power back, the second you stop responding, stop proving, stop making them the center of your world, now they feel threatened, because here's what they never realized. Your attention was the prize all along, and now it's on the table for someone else to claim. And that's why they start spiraling. Suddenly they're acting different, trying harder, checking in more often, pretending to care. When deep down it's not love they're feeling, it's insecurity. Because now they have questions they can't answer. Are they seeing someone new? Have they moved on? Did I lose them for good? And let me tell you, the unknown is their worst nightmare. Because when someone thinks you're still there, still waiting, still hoping, they feel safe, they feel in control. When you go silent, when you disappear, when you stop chasing and start living, they panic. Because now they don't know. And when people don't know, they assume the worst. And here's where it gets even better. You don't even have to do anything. You don't have to post cryptic messages. You don't have to try and make them jealous. You don't have to prove a thing. Your absence is enough. Because what they don't know, they will obsess over. And this is where most people make the mistake. They see their ex or the person they pulled away from suddenly paying attention again, suddenly acting interested, suddenly reaching out, and they fall for it. They reply too soon. They explain themselves. They try to convince the other person that they're still there. Just like that, the power shift is over. The second they feel secure again, the second they know they still have access to you, they go right back to treating you like they did before. That's why the real move, the real power play, is to do nothing. You don't react. You don't respond to the bait or duppy. You don't explain where you've been or who you've been with. You let the silence do the work. Because here's the truth. Your peace is more powerful than their insecurity. And when they realize that, when they see that their usual tricks don't work anymore, that they don't have the control they once did, that's when they really start to break. Because the moment you stop proving, stop chasing, stop explaining, stop making them feel like they're the only one, that's when they realize they were never in control to begin with. And by the time they finally wake up and realize what they lost, you won't even care anymore. So say this with me: I am irreplaceable. My energy is earned. Write it in the comments below. Let it sink in. Show them. Show yourself, show the world. Trust me, my friends, we're only getting started. Because next we're talking about the biggest illusion of all, the idea that you ever needed them in the first place. Number 6, breaking their illusion. You were never the one who needed them. Freedom is won by disregarding things beyond our control. They always thought you needed them. That was their comfort zone. That was the illusion they built in their mind, the idea that they were the prize, that you were the one trying to prove yourself, that you were lucky to have them. But now, they're starting to see the truth. Because the second you pulled back, the second you stopped giving them free access to your time, your energy and your emotions, something shifted. And let me tell you, my friends, they don't like it. See, people who thrive off control, off validation, off knowing they have power over someone else, They don't know what to do when that power is taken away. They built their confidence on the fact that you were always available, that no matter how they treated you, you'd stay, that they could pull back, ignore you, give you breadcrumbs, and still you'd be right there waiting. But now they're the ones waiting. And that, my friends, is the moment their illusion starts to crumble. Because the real truth, the truth they never saw coming, is this. You never needed them. They needed you to feed their ego. They needed you to make them feel important. They needed you to be the one who cared more, so they never had to. But now that you're detached, now that you've stopped proving yourself, now that you've broken the pattern and reclaimed your power, they're exposed. And let me tell you, they hate that. Because now, for the first time, they have to face their own insecurity. See, when you needed them, when you were the one chasing, checking in, over-explaining, trying to fix things, they felt in control. They felt like they were the ones calling the shots. Like they had all the options. Like they were the ones deciding how things played out. But now they don't know what you're thinking. Now they don't know if you even care. Now they don't know if they ever really had you in the first place. And that drives them insane. Because the illusion is shattered. They thought you were desperate for them. They thought they were the ones who got to decide when and how you fit into their life. They thought they were the prize, and you were just hoping to be chosen. But now, standing in front of them is a version of you they never expected. A version that is calm, detached, unfazed. A version that doesn't react to their gains. A version that doesn't seek their validation. A version that realized their worth was never tied to someone else's approval. And let me tell you something, that is the most powerful thing you can become. Because here's what you need to understand. The moment you show them you don't need them, you become untouchable. That's why they'll try to pull you back in. That's why they'll send those "I miss you" messages. That's why they'll act like they suddenly care, like they finally see your worth. But don't fall for it, because this isn't about love. It's about their ego. They don't miss you. They miss the control. They miss knowing they could make you react. They miss knowing they could keep you emotionally hooked even when they weren't giving you what you deserved. And now, they're realizing they lost their grip. So here's your power move. Stay in your detachment. Don't explain yourself. Don't justify your distance. Don't fall into their trap of proving that you still care, because the second you do, they win. The second you engage, the second you break your silence, the second you show them they can still affect you, the power shifts back to them. And you're too strong for that now. Because the truth is, real emotional dominance isn't about controlling someone else. It's about controlling yourself. It's about knowing that your peace, your happiness, your self-worth, those are yours to protect. And no one gets to take that away from you again. So when they come back, when they try to bait you, when they try to pull you into their web again, you don't react. You stay grounded. You stay focused. You stay in your own energy. Because the biggest flex, the ultimate revenge, the real power move is showing them that they never had power over you in the first place. And by the time they realize that, the moment they see that the old version of you is gone for good, it's already too late. So say this with me. I need no one. I choose myself. Write it in the comments below. Let it sink in. Show them. Show yourself. Show the world. And trust me, my friends, we're not done yet. Because next we're talking about what happens when you fully step into this power, when you become truly untouchable. Number 7, the final level. When you fully detach, you become unstoppable. The tranquility that comes when you stop caring what they say or think is the ultimate form of freedom. Marcus Aurelius said it best. And here we are, my friends, the final level. The place where most never reach, the place where true power lies. Because this isn't about playing games. This isn't about revenge. This isn't about making them miss you. This is about becoming truly untouchable. See, when you first pull back, when you first detach, they react. They test you. They try to pull you back in. And if that doesn't work, they panic. But when you reach this level, when you fully detach, when you've stopped needing their validation, when you've stopped reacting, now they're stuck in their own mind. Because here's the truth. You never needed revenge. Their own thoughts are the punishment. They're the ones overthinking. They're the ones replaying the past. They're the ones wondering if they messed up, if they lost something real, if they'll ever get your attention again. Meanwhile, you're free. Because when you detach, when you master the art of not reacting, you finally step into something that most people will never experience: complete emotional control. And let me tell you, my friends, that is the ultimate transformation. You no longer seek closure because you are your own closure. You no longer need answers because you stopped asking the wrong questions. You no longer chase because you finally understand that the prize was never them. It was always you, and that is what makes you unstoppable. Because the moment you stop needing validation, the moment you stop waiting for them to see your worth, the moment you stop caring how they feel about losing you, you win. Not just in this situation, not just with them. You win in life because now you're moving differently. Now you're focused on yourself. Now you're at peace. And nothing is more powerful than a person who is at peace with themselves. That's why they can't handle it. That's why they still think about you. That's why they're the ones trapped in their own mind games. But you walked away from the game. So say this with me: I choose peace over drama. Write it in the comments below, let it sink in. Show them, show yourself, show the world. And my friends, if you never need their validation again, you've already won.